Okay, we are at an undisclosed location in Seattle with Al Milman of Al Milman Sect and Man-Ka-Zam and Buddy Love and...
I can't think of any other secret names, except I don't have this beard. It's just part of my face that I don't happen to shave.
He did, yeah, okay.
I do not have a beard.
I thought you have a new record coming out.
Yes, I was just looking at it. It's very interesting. I had glanced at it before, but never really examined it thoroughly. But if you'd like to purchase it, it will be available sometime early next year. I can reveal that.
And
that's the back of it.
Al has told me so many good stories of what would you say, the scene, punk rock in the 70s,
where it's all like Murray the K used to say, where it's all happening, baby.
Yeah. So I thought I'd just throw some names at you.
Sure. And
you just maybe say something. I don't know.
Sure.
You told me a story about Johnny Thunders.
Johnny Thunders.
But were you buying weed from Johnny Thunders?
No,
was that it?
No, there was no exchange of money. We went to England to shop for a record deal. We saw all the major labels like Chris Parry at Polydor and the smaller labels like Andrew Lauder at Radar and Chrysalis and I don't remember everybody's name, and CBS and Sire I'll tell you the Sire story first.
Okay.
Sire instigated us going to England because Seymour Stein wanted to sign us to Sire. He was in touch with our manager Joel, and so we went to England and we decided to see a variety of labels while we were there and see what they had to offer, the terms of artistic freedom and how much publishing you could keep and so on and so forth, so they didn't totally rip you off. So we went to Sire and we had to go back there repeated times because the Flaming Groovies were about to arrive in England for the release of the Flaming Groovies Now album. But they had a problem with the Flaming Groovies on the Shake Some Action tour because they came into England and they played several shows and they left after 4 days. Now I think that might have been attributed to a certain substance that speeds you up.
Okay.
I'm not saying
You can say it on YouTube.
No, I know, but I don't want to imply anything. It's apocryphal,
right.
Not really apocryphal, but we'll just say it's apocryphal.
Right.
So they presented a problem, so they had to brainstorm how to keep them in England once they arrived there to promote their new album. So in the process, this went on for weeks, and we went to other labels, and we couldn't get back in the Sire offices because their advanced people hogged up the offices. Now we got that out of the way. Now while we were there, we went to the Speakeasy, or Speaks as they called it. It's a very coveted club that the Beatles and the Stones used to go to back in the olden days, and at that time the Sex Pistols would hang out there, or the Heartbreakers, or whomever. It became more reflective of punk rock instead of the beat era, or what we called in America the British invasion.
Right.
But not there because it was Britain, so they weren't invading themselves.
Right.
But not at this time. At this time it was Johnny Thunders and the Living Dead, which was a pickup band, not the Heartbreakers, and they were playing that evening with Steve Jones as a guest guitarist from the Sex Pistols. So we went into the dressing room because we were having trouble finding this thing that we like to smoke. Not tobacco.
Which shall not be named.
Which shall not be named.
You can name it.
Now we can name it because it's legal in Washington. It was not legal at the time, but hopefully they will not come back and try to give us a fine for something from 45 or 50 years ago. But anyway, so these people were engaging in this smoking of this mysterious substance in the dressing room, and we said, would you let us have some? Because we came from New York. We're a punk rock band from New York, the Al Milman Sect, and or Man-Ka-Zam, or whatever we were calling it at the time, but it was essentially the Al Milman Sect. And they said, one of the roadies or part of the entourage said, who was a guy from the entourage, he goes, how do we know you're not narcs? So I said, narcs? Yes, we came to England from New York. We have New York accents, and we work for Scotland Yard. Yeah, and they just laughed hysterically and gave us some of this mysterious substance to smoke.
Right.
And that's basically the Speakeasy story. I hope you were thrilled.
I'm sure they were. Okay. you meant now when you were just talking, you mentioned Radar Records.
Yes.
And you told me about a trip to the Radar offices.
Yes, we went to the Radar offices and met with Andrew Lauder. Hi, Andrew, Facebook friend. In case you're watching YouTube, it's good to have you on Facebook. You know, and like everybody who wants to find everybody else on Facebook, we've all reconnected. Andrew Lauder.
I think Al's trying to say he's on Facebook. If you want to reach out to him,
is
that
Facebook,
what?
And I think I have like 3 friend requests left, or 3 available friend requests.
Was that a soft plug for your Facebook?
No.
Okay,
no.
All right.
I don't. If you want to friend me, I'll have to start an additional Facebook wall.
Okay.
But
Anyway.
I will start a wall. So Andrew Lauder was running Radar Records and co-owned it, and we brought our first 2 EPs, Stitches in My Head, I Want to Kill Somebody, Punk Rock Christmas,
And Spankathon.
Spankathon, yeah. And we left them with him, and I speculate, I'm probably correct, that he played them for Elvis Costello, because on Armed Forces, which came out
79.
Well, it came out the following year. There's the similar lyric in Senior Service, I Want You Dead, accented, I Want You Dead. You know,
Right.
You know, pretty hard to own something that generic. But I think it's pretty obvious where the influence came from Elvis. So
If you're watching.
yeah, if you're watching, I'm sure you watch interviews of the Alan Milman Sect all the time, secretly, and I
He's a
was
big fan.
Yeah, well, I like your work, and you know, and I'm very complimented that you decided to borrow a line from us. I have never borrowed any lines from you, by the way.
But you were saying that didn't you say you went there with your songwriting partner?
Yes,
and,
Douglas Kazam, or Doug Kazam, as he likes to be known.
And they gave you some records.
They gave us this year's model to Doug, and they gave us Jesus of Cool, which I was the lucky owner of. One actually, you know, they didn't have a plethora of records like CBS or something where you go in a drawer and take out a suitcase, you know, worth of stuff when you leave. But you know, we got one what we call English import each. We're not complaining.
Right. And then when you were writing for Buddy Love, the Power Pop, would you call it Power Pop? I don't want to.
Well, he calls it Power Pop.
He calls it Power Pop. Okay.
I mean, I don't. It doesn't really make any difference to me. I think I actually listened to Buddy Love recently, and I was quite. I mean, Doug and I have different favorites, but because some of the stuff was a little more sinister than the other stuff, some of it was very effervescent and poppy, and we both wrote everything, you know, music and words,
Right.
but and I sang a little on that album too, but I think that we had, you know, different attitude that coalesced well together. But I like the more sinister stuff like Wild Angel. And there are other, which is about a girl who's a junkie, you know, stranded in the park and who needs help.
In the park?
Well, it'll probably be Tompkins Square Park or Washington Square Park or one of the Greenwich Village parks that we euphemistically call the Village, because I don't know if the people, you know, that are watching this know that Greenwich Village is referred to by New Yorkers, or in this case an ex-New Yorker, as the Village.
Was it during the Buddy Love period where you guys tried to get signed to Big Beat? Was that? Or am I mixing stuff up?
No, that's a different group later.
What was...
That was originally called the Greefs, Greefs, and settled on... The record company didn't want to put it out under that group name. They wanted a different group name for some odd reason that I still can't even fathom. So we gave them a list of names so the record would be released after we came that far. You know, although that was something I would never do now. So we gave them a list of names, and they picked we wrote a lot of stupid names on purpose, you know, as a joke. And they took one of the joke names and did they hired an illustrating company called Khartoum, Khartoom, or whatever. However, it's written on the album. This is the correct spelling, but So this terrible drawing that looked like something out of Rocky and Bullwinkle, and the terrible name was Duck and the Pond, singular. But they couldn't grasp that it was singular, so they made it Duck and the Ponds.
Oh, okay.
They thought it was plural.
Right.
Not only was it bad, it was also turned into a plural accidentally. So enough with that thrilling name change.
Okay, I'll throw another name at you. Sky Saxon.
Sky Saxon.
Okay, there was a really loud car, but we're back.
Well, I just want you to know there's some schmutz on my pants, you know, and I don't know. These are new, and they're already collecting schmutz.
Well, we did go out to eat at that teriyaki
There's no
place.
food. It's like particles of dust. I don't understand. Like walking around tracking dust particles.
Is it from the rice?
No. This was just dust, airborne schmutz.
Okay. Okay. Here's another name.
Schmutz.
Sky Saxon.
Sky Saxon. Yeah, my boy. Sky Saxon is one of the most important people, unbelievably, in the history of rock and roll, because he influenced, you know, people like Jim Morrison, like Iggy Pop. You know, I mean, he's like one of the original prototypical, you know, crypto frontmen. You know, he's mystical, kind of idiot savant. Improvises. He has like a shamanistic type of movement. He was a fascinating guy, which you'd never know, because if you had a conversation with him, you know, later on, like in the late 90s.
Well, I was gonna say, didn't he come into your record store?
Yeah, he sounded like an idiot.
Seattle?
You know, but he was not an idiot. He was just very damaged. You know, a lot of substance abuse and a lot of you know, poor care of himself. You know.
Right.
You know, but as a figure, you know, he was very seminal, you know, in the lineage of rock and roll. And I'm not tremendously influenced by him, but I am very influenced by the Stooges, who were Iggy was extremely influenced by him, and talks about him a lot in the documentary. They've made it as difficult as possible to get a hold of it, but if you look online, it gets posted and withdrawn quite frequently. So you might be able to find it online or purchase it, or whatever you want to do. That's up to you. I'm not here to tell you how to obtain documentaries.
Yeah, right.
But
when you owned Bedazzled Discs in Seattle,
yes,
he came in once.
At some point in the late 90s, Sky used to come in and he brought me a box of records, and one of the records was, and they were all beat to shit, was Satanic Majesty's Request. And, you know, I said, Sky, I can't take records in this condition. He goes, but I have to record. And I go, well, Sky, that's not my problem. You know, I mean, if I was involved with it, you know, that would be one thing. And I said, if you give me unreleased Seeds tapes, I'd be happy to buy them for you and maybe put them out on our label. You know, so he said, well, why don't you give me like $400 and then I'll send you the tapes. I go, Sky, you must think I was born under a turnip or something. You know, I'm not going to give you one penny until I
actually see him
to purchase something from you. You know, but he was a little foolish, you know, or, you know, whatever. But but in the final analysis, and the last time I ever saw him was at the Love Show at Town Hall with Arthur Lee and Johnny Eccles. We were visiting with Arthur Lee because I was with his cousin, who was a very good friend of mine, Mildred Riley. And I finally met Arthur Lee and John Eccles, and Sky was sitting like 2 rows or 3 rows in front of us. And that's the last time I ever saw him. And there you go with Sky Saxon.
And he seemed like he was doing good the last time you saw him.
Oh, he looked like he was wearing very expensive boutique clothing and very prosperous, and was with a woman who looked like a model, and he was just doing very well. Hey, be quiet. We're doing something.
There's
here.
A plane, yeah.
I'm not referring to anything holy. I'm just pointing at an airplane. I just want to clarify. You know, I believe in the higher force. I just don't call it God. You know, with a man's face. I don't believe in any of that patriarchal garbage. But you know, there is a higher force in the universe, certainly. You know, and it's not that damn plane.
Speaking of God, you met Devo.
Oh well,
that was an odd transition.
The connection, but
I'm joking.
Oh, okay. You mean
I'm
Mark Mothersbaugh, who goes out with supermodels? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Well, yes, we ran into him at the second Devo show at Max's Kansas City that some guy you might have heard of, David Bowie, introduced.
And that's online. Have you listened to that?
Not only that, it's on vinyl.
Oh yeah, it was that record store day
release.
And that's like $100 release now.
You should have seen the show. You know, I would have taken you to the show, but you weren't born yet.
Yeah.
That was a small technicality.
Yeah,
but
just a little issue.
You were there.
Right.
Anyway, it was a great show, and that's the first time we had been getting Devo singles. Actually, I think I might have bought one or two. Doug was buying them, you know, years before they had any kind of record deal, and we liked Devo quite a bit, and they were ubiquitous. I mean, everyone was influenced by them. You know, David Bowie himself was. You could hear it in Larger, the Devo influence pretty pervasively. And I was listening to David Bowie since 1968, from like his first album had come out, and I bought all the Bowie albums up till like Let's Dance, you know, and saw the Spiders 4 times at Carnegie Hall and Radio City Music Hall and Music Hall in Boston. Spider shows are among my favorite shows I've ever seen in my life, along with the early Who in '67 and '68. Had to squeeze that in because it's in context.
No, yeah.
What we were talking about? We were talking about Devo.
We're talking about Devo.
I actually remember what we were talking about. I'm very proud of myself. Whoa, this is a breakthrough.
But you.
Where am I, by the way?
We're in an unknown location in Seattle somewhere.
And who are you?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, really? I don't know who I'm trying to vaguely. I remember who some other people are, but not necessarily.
Starts with a G.
Oh, okay. George.
Yeah. Don't make the viewers think you.
Oh no! I'm not. I'm only partially senile. I'm not exhibiting any senility right now that I'm aware of. I'm 70 years old, so you know. Give me a break.
Yeah, but you were talking about one time you were backstage at SNL with Mark.
Not backstage. They were filming SNL. And we were in the audience, and when they had a break, we went over and talked to Mark at the SNL stage when the filming was not till the filming commenced again.
Right.
But we had also met with him at when we went to England to shop a record deal. We saw Mark at the Roundhouse because we wanted to go to the Devo show at the Roundhouse in Camden Town. And he said, it's sold out, I'm really sorry, but, you know, he spoke with us like for 15 or 20 minutes outside the dressing room at the Roundhouse. And Alberto's what is it?
Psychos Paranoias or something?
No, that was the name of the song. Alberto's y los Trios Paranoias.
Yeah.
They were opening. They were quite good.
Yeah, and they had that single out on Stiff, I think it was called Snuff Rock.
Oh, that's terrible.
And it was like a 3-song EP.
Snuff Rock. Oh my! Yeah. What kind of sick people would make a record like that? We just did records like I Want to Kill Somebody.
Right.
No Snuff Rock. You know? Even the new one, I don't have it here anymore, but there's a new track on that called "They Found You Dead." But I find those kind of songs morbid, even if I do them. They're very morbid.
And I wanted to ask about. You told me something about, if you want to hold that up.
Yes, I would love to hold this up. Yeah.
The drummer on this
Dominic.
EP.
We only know the drummer's first name. I want to tell you a little story about Dominic, though. I'm going to put this down. Dominic was a drum teacher, but even though he was a very young man, he was in his 20s, but he was an expert drummer, and we have been told by people in the rock criticism area, you know, what they call them rock critics, they had told us that was the best drumming they have ever heard on a punk rock record.
Huh.
Which I never thought about, and we were also told by these rock critics too that Stitches in My Head, I Want to Kill Somebody is a confluence of the Ramones and the Damned, where it segs from one to the other on this 45 RPM record that was released in 1977. On this song, this seg, they claim it resembled a seg that went from the Ramones to the Damned, which is kind of odd because we had never heard these bands. No, actually, we liked them very much.
The Damned did a 2-night four-show 2-night residency at CBGB.
I didn't know it was 2 nights, but I saw the first show. I believe it was the first show at CBGB's, and I kicked part of the stage wall down. While they were playing, I kept kicking the side of the stage till the wall fell down.
And was that with?
I don't know. It was just kind of an aggressive hormonal thing, you know, being a young male. You know.
And was that with the Dead Boys opening?
You know, I have to tell you, probably, but the Dead Boys, and my apology to all people on the West Coast, but if you were from New York and the Dead Boys were playing, you were not excited because that was a band that Hilly Crystal managed. It was kind of like the Monkees of CBGB. In other words, I'm putting my band on before this band. I'm putting my band on before this band. Kind of like the fix is in, you know.
Right.
You know, that's the Dead Boys. You know, I mean, listening to them now, they weren't bad, but people on the West Coast act like they were like, you know, like a major punk band. They were not a major punk band. I mean, anybody can like whatever they want, but
you're gonna upset some people in the YouTube realm.
Fuck them. The Dead Boys suck. I mean, I'm gonna take off my mask. No, seriously, I don't really feel that strongly either way. I just think that they were like the teacher's pet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I think that anyone that doesn't go to a doctor after they get hit by a car is a fucking moron.
Yeah, because that's how he died. He was in France, and
I'm not going to say anything about his religion. That's his business. But
was he religious?
Yeah. Well, we can look that up. I don't really want to say anything about anybody's religion.
Okay, yeah.
But you know, because that's fine. Whatever religion you are, you know, good luck to you. But anyway, he did not go to a doctor after getting hit by a car and bled to death, which that's tragic.
Yeah.
For anybody.
Yeah.
Well, let's move along real quick.
Okay, yeah, but back to the drummer.
Well,
back to Dominic.
Dominic was such a good drummer. I mean, incredible. You know, and also in the same review that made that that cited that resemblance. And I don't care if somebody likes us in review or hates us, but if they have a good insight, that's what impresses me. Like that insight was unbelievable.
But you said, was it that Dominic disappeared? After the recording of the EP?
Dramatic. He you know, they're you know, the drummers came and went. You know, it's like Spinal Tap. You know, they it's inexplicable. Anyway, he stopped working with us. Would be the would be a less dramatic way.
I from what you said before, I thought he fell off the face of the planet.
No, but we're not in touch with him.
Right.
You know,
okay.
We are in touch with one of the drummers. Contacted me through Facebook, named Paul Blackard. He's somewhat known in the music world for other groups that I can't recall right now. Somewhat known to somebody, but and he was, you know, another drummer who worked with us for a period of time. But Dominic, we don't know the whereabouts of. We do know where Paul Blackard is, you know, for example.
Right. Okay, I'll throw one more name at you, and then we can, then you can leave from this imprisonment.
Oh my goodness! I remove the shackles.
You told me a story about remove the shackles. You told me a story about was it you got up on stage during a Buzzcocks show and sang backup?
Yes. No, Front Up.
Front Up.
They had an open mic at Club 57, which is also known as Irving Plaza, and during the song "Oh Shit," I didn't know the verses of "Oh Shit." I just sang the choruses. But I had my own microphone, and it wound up on the cover of the New Musical Express and on a bootleg 45 in cassette.
Yeah, and that bootleg is on Discogs. It's I think it's a 4-song bootleg, and it sells for like $80.
Well, I was happy to give the Buzzcocks some value for their collectibles. No, actually.
But you're on a Buzzcocks release then, technically.
I sang lead on the chorus of "Oh Shit" at that show.
Huh.
With them.
Right.
And yes, and we also hung out with the Buzzcocks. We went to see them almost every time they played in Seattle in the last 32 years. Well, of course, no, they're still playing without Pete Shelley. Steve Diggle's the front man now. We spent an evening with Steve Diggle after a show, having a nice conversation. Really, really nice gentleman. And I told him about his American records, which he knew nothing about.
Okay, well that's it.
Well, it's been nice visiting with you, and we'll dig more into the B-side information later.
On next episode.
Next episode.
If you're up for doing another one sometime.
Al Milman Files. Yes, and actually I'm going to break through the fourth wall and try not to fall down. Whoa, this is very, very, very dangerous, precarious here. Well, I'm going to jump off this diving board.